strong enough. You and I, you and I. Everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I, you and I. You wanna know my feelings every time I look in your eyes. Baby, I can feel your energy, it's making me realize everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I, you and I. Everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I, you and I.
Get elite real-world performance for your desktop PC with 10th Gen Intel Core processors. If you're looking to game, create, live stream, or stay productive, 10th Gen Intel Core processors deliver an optimal balance of frequency, cores, and threads to handle real-world usages. Get enthusiast-level performance with an Intel Core i9 processor, up to 5.3 GHz clock speed for peak gaming performance and content creation workloads. Or for competitive gameplay and content creation, choose an Intel Core i7 with up to 5.1 GHz clock speed to handle your demanding applications. The Intel Core i5 processor with up to 4.8 GHz gives you a seamless AAA gaming and entertainment experience. And with up to 4.6 GHz clock speed, the Intel Core i3 is a great fit for everyday tasks and productivity. If you're looking to push your system even further, get additional performance headroom with unlocked 10th Gen Intel Core processors, supported by Intel's advanced overclocking controls. Bring elite, real-world performance to your desktop PC with 10th Gen Intel Core processors.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to yet another wonderful week of Women's League. My name is the Russian. I'm once again joined by the wonderful Pi. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. I, for one, was not expecting the amount of color that you were going to be wearing today.
Hey, I gotta switch it up sometimes. Gotta shine some of the flowers as well. But yeah, look, we've been having some few very interesting matchups. Some of the matchups that we more so expected to be closer, probably, than we expected. And it turns out that some of the less expected matchups turned up with some of the closer scorelines. But for tonight, I feel like we might actually have a proper kind of almost David and Goliath, but David is kind of making it high, almost as high as the Goliath, I feel.
I mean, if you want to reference back to the David and Goliath story, ultimately it was David who managed to beat the Goliath. So I'm curious to see if, later on the team that we'll be talking about will actually make that happen.
Definitely. Now, before we get to all the nitty-gritty of the things, quick also mention that we do have a wonderful sponsor, ZQ Racing, giving away a chair to one of our MVP players. That is going to be the V6 Racer Gaming Chair, purple in black. That will be given and awarded to one of the wonderful players that will be voted on at the end of the season, so stay tuned for that one as well. Quite keen to see who will win out the MVP prize this time. But, hi, we have quite a few I'm actually quite keen to get to these matches tonight. Our very first matchup in our schedule is going to be, I believe, 71st versus Nocturnal, which we'll get to see that in a moment. But yeah, there we go. So Nocturnal versus 71st. Off stream, it will be Barry's Bees playing against Elevate, and then Shadownet versus Nutty Gaming. So a fair few storylines forming around here, but let's quickly mention our second match that will be streamed. That is Shadownet versus Nutty Gaming, before we deep dive into the first one.
Yeah, so Shadownet versus Nutty Gaming it's definitely going to be a good follow-up after the first match, that's for sure. Shadownet is quite a strong team, has shown us a few good plays as well. And Nutty Gaming, not to discredit them, they've also, unfortunately, they haven't had quite the best season so far, but, I'm hoping this might be the game where they turn things around.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see if we shall be seeing an upset tonight as well from the Nutty Gaming squad. But the big one, the I suppose the elephant in the room of a matchup, Nocturnal versus 71st. Now, Nocturnal, kind of being, I suppose, the offspring of the previous of season 2 of Elevate, taking on 71st, who are currently looking better than ever. I'll probably have to say, even comparative to their previous runs in the previous season. So, right now, 71st, I believe, only a position behind Nocturnal in the leaderboard. So, I'm curious if we shall be seeing a strong performance from 71st today, or whether it's going to be Nocturnal kind of just rolling away with a dub.
Yeah, if we want to talk about, rankings for the round robin, Nocturnal is currently ranked first, which does mean that they have shown the
Right.
most stellar performance, and they do have 4 wins under their belt as well, if we take a look at the round robin standings. However, 71st definitely isn't that far behind. The top 4 teams are quite closely stuck together, where really any loss or any win could push them, further up in the rankings. So if 71st do manage to take the map away from Nocturnal today, that would be huge for them in the upcoming weeks.
Definitely, yeah. And looking at the points amount for the top 3 teams, they're currently stuck in a 3-way tiebreaker, which is quite amusing as well. And yeah, for 71st, they're fairly close to even starting to contest against those 3 teams as well. So curious if we shall be seeing that happen, if there's going to be quite an upset to come around by 71st, or whether will Nocturnal kind of just assert the dominance, kind of skyrocket themselves out of their current situation in the tiebreaker and just solidify themselves in the first place.
Yeah, well, only time can tell, and time being the next match that will be coming up.
Yes, most definitely. Let's take a look at the rosters as well for these 2 teams and kind of talk about the player-to-player kind of experience here. So the Nocturnal roster, like I mentioned before, it's quote-unquote the offspring of the Elevate roster. Fair few players have moved over to this roster. Plus, we have seen a few new introductions in a face of like AJ Tiger and I believe Crescent as well.
Yeah, I believe they were actually the subs for Elevate last season, so we didn't really
Right.
get to see much play out of them because, the main roster was consistently showing up and was playing to the best of their ability. But this season, we do get to see more of Crescent and Tiger X, and they definitely proved their weight in gold.
Yeah, definitely. The whole roster has been actually doing pretty well overall, and definitely quite keen to see how they progress further down the line. But let's have a look at their challenges as well. The 71st roster, the roster that has been having a little bit of occasional hiccups on their performances, but overall, they have managed to show us some pretty awesome games, gotta say. Personal probably MVPs, at least from the last few games. Meeps, Weasel occasionally, Zero Prince also popping off on a few occasions. Not to discredit TikTok and Daddy Matty, those 2 were just doing an absolutely phenomenal job, and even as a solo set of players, they were able to actually, I believe, swing a few rounds into their team's favor.
Yeah, if you want to talk about a team like Nocturnal who has so many individually strong players, I believe, 71st as a team, they're all quite evenly rounded off where, whichever weaknesses each teammate might have, another player will make up for it. So, sure, they might not have any outstanding solo, fraggers like that, but I think their teamwork and their synergy is quite up there as well.
Yeah, the team's energy is a huge thing as well to talk about, and that whole kind of, I suppose, synergy plus chemistry question does come through as well when talking about how long did the roster stay together and whether they were able to nail down their communications, their plays together. Because, well, for some of the rosters, you may have just a crack set of just absolutely fantastic fraggers, but if there's no chemistry between all of them, it could all pretty much just fly out into the out of the window. So before we get straight to the matchup, as we already have all 10 players into the lobby, let's have a look also at the map that we shall be seeing played out. And well, it's a wonderful Cafe Dostoevsky that will be coming around to play it out. I believe we're also going to be seeing 71st to kick things off on attack here as well. So straight at the beginning of the match, it is going to be I feel a challenge for 71st to get themselves an early kind of point advantage, I suppose.
Yeah, Cafe is one of those maps where if you're on a defender-sided team, it is going to be a little bit more of an advantage for you. However, when you're on attack, you preferably, you have strategies already practiced. You know what each teammate is going to be executing in that specific time. A Cafe is a very gadget-operated map, which means that, you can't really go in guns blazing and really hope for the best. Obviously, I could be completely proven wrong, who knows. But ideally, you know, the majority of the ways that Cafe is won is through an appropriate use of gadgets, is through gadget clearing, and then finally, you know, getting the bomb down more so than just pure fragging.
Yeah, definitely. I'll most certainly have to agree here. Just the general kind of coordination with the utility as well as the fragging is definitely needs to be just the right kind of combination of that. But let's have a look quickly at the Cafe Dostoevsky and get things underway. Because, look, I'm quite excited. Whenever I get to see a Cafe, it is starting to feel a little bit overstrated, but the moment we start feeling like it, we instantly kind of see some wild plays that do come around. So maybe this is going to be the time for the play.
Yeah, well, speaking of the play, let's look at the first bans that will be coming out. It will be Nocturnal going for the first ban on attack. You know, judging from their previous track records of banning, Nocturnal does seem to be very safe when it comes to bans, so I'll most likely expect maybe a Thatcher ban, maybe a Jackal ban, because that is something that we have seen in Women's League.
Yeah, and there we go, already a Thatcher ban to come around. Not too surprising, although, yeah, like you said, we've seen a few occasionally unusual, let's just say, bans to come around. So maybe a Jackal ban is going to be pretty warranted here, but instead it's actually going to be Ace out of all of them. And actually, I kind of agree with that one. Ace can definitely, especially in combination with Thatcher, can be an absolute thorn in the side of the defense whenever they try to just keep the attackers out of the sight, essentially.
Mirror ban coming through, no big surprise there. Mirror is seeing bans on a lot of maps. You know, Mirror is one of those operators where on sites that she's strong at, she will be exceptionally strong at. And on sites where, you know, you don't really play her, no one will really play her, and there won't be a lot of effect. But a Clash ban coming through is something that we haven't seen a lot of. You know, we haven't seen many teams in Women's League even pick Clash, let alone ban Clash. So I'm quite curious to see the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, the Clash ban, at least the back of the LPL Pro, was actually one of those kind of almost kind of aimed bans at teams like Shadownet that did actually pioneer a fair few times of the usage of Clash. And with the fact that Clash also, in the current patch, is actually pretty much a direct counter to both of the attacking shield operators, I'm assuming this is also partially just to enable that the shield ops, if picked, won't have as much of an issue, really. At least that's my only kind of assumption at this point.
Yeah, well, you know, facing off against a Clash, especially when your team doesn't have any grenades, or maybe your Sophia's already used her concussions to burn up the ADSs from the Jaeger to clear out possibly a pixel shield, is definitely a really annoying thing to go through. So, you know, might as well get rid of that thing before it's even a trouble in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Now, I also want to get your opinion, whilst we're still kind of loading and waiting for all the players to get in. I've been seeing recently a trend of some of the teams starting to ban out Wamai. Now, do you reckon this will be kind of the scenario of how now teams kind of starting to switch over to banning out kind of the comfort picks of a whole lot of teams, similar to how it began with Mirror when the first introduction of a pick and ban system? A whole lot of teams were kind of starting to get used to Mirror picks, and the moment you kind of started taking that pick out, it temporarily crippled some of the teams. Do you reckon this could be kind of a similar situation here with Wamai bans, maybe?
I think going for a Wamai ban is definitely going to be a lot more crippling than a Mirror ban, because, you know, Mirror, you have to practice a specific setup of strategies to go around it. You know, you have to reinforce specific walls, you can open up specific angles to capitalize on those Mirror placements. However, with a Wamai, you know, you pretty much see him almost played on every single side. So to really ban out Wamai, even if you are the attacking team, you have to be prepared to not have that option when you are on defense, because he is the one with the deployable shield, plus his excellent gadgets, his magnets, which are able to really trap any projectiles that come flying. And he has a decent gun as well at that, so you really need to be prepared to adapt your strategy around the entire not being able to deny as many projectiles as possible. So for a team who isn't quite confident with that, you know, it's not really worth the risk, I don't think.
Yeah, that's also a very good point, but curious to see how will my pick rate will be affected after the Neon Dawn will come around, because the current patch notes do actually see him lose the ballistic shield, as well as that only get 4 discs instead of 5, so curious if that will also cripple his pick rate a little bit. For the time being though, we do have a few breaches coming around. Mainly it's just on the window by Meebs, just to see if she can maybe find a gunfight instead of just draining all of her utility. And that's actually a pretty clever idea, although maybe a little bit risky, given that Aussie Princess has a pretty solid angle here as well, and I don't think she will be backing out of it anytime soon, really.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely not called pixel angle for no reason. You know, being in that angle does mean that you do get a pixel amount of space to work with, which means as a defender, you normally have the advantage of swinging into it because you will see the attackers before they see you. And because it's such a narrow angle, ideally you should be able to get the first impactful shot off.
Yeah. Also, we forgot to really mention the fact that there's actually a 2-player roam at the second floor, and Sav was actually just about prepared for a run out, but it seems that Daddy Matty is actually quite aware that there might be a roam play in effect, so just dedicating one of the players to do that very thing, just to watch the flank, is not a bad idea, as right now we just, I suppose, in the process of just wasting as many of the utility as possible. But yeah, that is quite a whole lot of smokes as well.
I think overall it's a pretty slow clear by 71st. You know, it has been 2 minutes into the round, or more than 2 minutes into the round, and that shield on Pixel is still there. Normally you would see teams clear it within the first minute and a half, burning the projectiles, being able to, you know, clear, gain control of Newbald, and really burn down those ADSs. It will be Serenity getting that first kill onto Weasel. Meeps will follow it up closely onto Aussie Princess, which should even it out to be a 4v4.
Yeah, showed at the moment. Crescent currently holding a really nice angle behind the bar side, and we'll be spotting one of the attackers trying to push in. That is ticked off already. Meeps will be, oh no, team killed as well by Zero Prince and AG Tiger to kick things off onto ticked off. Now it's all down to Daddy Matty and Zero Prince, and right now they're just being absolutely mowed down. A second team kill for Zero Prince, that is quite unfortunate, and finally at the end will be punished by Serenity.
I mean, I don't want to be the person who says it, but I think Zero Prince got a lot of kills that round.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. She did indeed get a fair few kills there. Zero for Nocturnal MVP, yeah, pretty much. Weasel,
I mean, there was a double kill right there.
Yeah.
And then I believe they were both headshots as well.
Okay, that is even more impressive. Yeah, looking at the scoreline here, Zero Prince, even after getting a fair few kills, I don't think she will be getting out of the bottom position just yet. But look, it was definitely, like you said, it was a little bit more so of a slower push comparative to what we saw maybe from Nocturnal whenever they were playing previously on Cafe. So with 40 seconds remaining and only then starting to drop down through the hatches, it's definitely a little bit alarming. But yeah, apart from that, really, it's just a matter of maybe 71st need to nail down their droning and roam clear, because it seemed that the fact that they didn't have control over the second floor seemed to have hindered their advancement, it seems.
Yeah, you know, a lot of the times when you do go for that pixel clear, it is quite standard to go for it, because it does mean that you want control of those piano walls. So your hard breacher, in that case it was a thermite, so your thermite can open up those freezer walls and hopefully go for a plant around the default area of the cocktail balk. But because they were so slow in clearing out that pixel shield, it did mean that, you know, every subsequent action that they took after that was going to be more rushed and was going to be, you know, less amount of intel, less amount of drones available. So ultimately, I'm not quite surprised, you know, even with the amount of kills that Zero Prince did get, I'm not that surprised that the round wasn't in their favor.
Yeah, well, we're seeing a bit of a change around in the tactics of 71st, as it seems that they are now quite keen on clearing out at the very least the top floor and get some vertical gameplay going. But now that they've spotted the hatch was actually open, I don't think they've seen Sav. They should potentially start looking into clearing out the third floor as well, where Serenity and Sav would have pretty much all the opportunities possible to really drain out the time, and that is a fantastic angle that, oh, just nearly finds the kill onto Daddy Matty. Serenity using that hash to fall back.
She doesn't quite finish off Daddy Matty, but there is a lot of damage being put into her, and that's still third floor control that's still within the hands of Nocturnal. So, whoever is going to be playing in that train room, it looks like Daddy Matty at this moment, needs to be careful of that hatch, because that hatch will provide the defenders a lot of line of sight. I mean, that's saying if Serenity's flank through Pillar isn't going to be able to capitalize just by itself, and it is, because she is going to be getting that first kill onto Zero Prince.
Zero Prince now out of the equation. It's Meeps who is actually finding some revenge here and gets rid of Sav. Now that is finally full control of the third floor done and achieved, but there's still Serenity that is roaming up and around the second floor, and she will be looking for finding a trade, or maybe rather just defaulting back to the side, which is not a bad idea either. So once again, it's been quite some time since we've seen the push actually properly happen, and it seems that Meeps is actually the one that is doing the most of it before any kind of push happens. But finally, it seems Weasel has started making some moves and changes, really, as that was a really nice shot onto the head of AG Tiger.
Yeah, it was a beautiful shot, and she gets a double kill onto Aussie Princess as well. You know, those are really nice shots, and that does give them the advantage in this case. But Serenity, that flank as well, gets that kill onto Meeps, and Crescent with a headshot onto Weasel. Suddenly, things aren't looking as good for 71st, because Crescent gets her double kill of the day on TikTok as well.
And now it's all down to Daddy Matty to try to clutch it out, and right now she's about to get swung upon by Serenity, although she's playing it pretty cleverly, just waiting for the push to actually happen, because it is going to be the time that we'll be pressing up on all the matters, and right now it's Crescent to get the down and the kill. That's a triple for Crescent, I believe, actually.
Yeah, I believe so. You know, that was a very nasty angle through pretty much 2 rooms all the way onto Bakery. That was not an angle you really want to be contesting with.
Definitely, yeah, that was a very clean round there, and a clean defense from the anchoring squad of Nocturnal, although it definitely felt like could have been improved upon just for the sheer fact of how quickly the front bakery has been taken by 71st. I would assume that Nocturnal will probably prefer to stay away from these kind of clinching moment of being very close to just missing out on the round points as well.
Yeah, you know, Weasel's double kill onto that front bakery was definitely it was a game changer for 71st. So I'm a little bit disappointed to see that 71st didn't take full advantage of those kills. You know, just because you do have that bakery control doesn't mean that your attack needs to be one-sided, because they had the second floor secured as well, because they did clear off all the roamers from bar. I'm not sure if maybe they didn't have enough drones to confirm that. Maybe, you know, they wanted to go for more of a condensed push. That could also be possible. But, you know, going for a freezer open as well as a bakery push could have definitely, you know, put a little pressure onto Crescent as the cave, and would have made it so that that position that she was holding maybe wasn't as strong. Maybe she would have had to move out or relocate. So, you know, just maybe a little bit more of a multi-pronged attack from 71st could be a little bit more effective.
Also, I have to read the fact that they also lost the sledge that was trying to wreck the floor and the machinery fairly early into the map, or rather round as well. That was quite a crippling blow as well. So quite a few things didn't really line up there for 71st, but maybe this time they shall be able to make a return here. Now Sav already gathering a plethora of the information. Look at this, all of those wonderful pings, and pretty sure she was able to spot as well as Daddy Matty somewhere around there. And for 71st, well, they're still not suspecting anything. At the very least, Weasel hasn't been yet spotted, and Zero Prince will be using her hologram to drone things out. Which, the only information that will be given out to her is actually the fact that Serenity is just playing at the pixel angle, which has been already forfeited. So now comes the issue of 71st needing to actually, well, clear out the top floor now that they know full well that there is at least a single person presence up there. And Sav is actually preying upon the push for the piano, because she's got already a C4 prepped up, and nobody's actually even planning to really contest the window with her.
Yeah, I don't believe they actually know that there is a pulse playing in that train room. Otherwise, you know, definitely you would be opening up those windows. You would be asserting a little bit of pressure so that Sav can't just freely walk between train and museum just like that, a train and mining just like that. Hopefully she doesn't get that free C4 kill, but at the way that the 71st is playing, it does look like it is going to be happening, and it is! It's going to be Daddy Matty falling prey to that C4.
Yeah, that C4 was pretty much asked for at that point. Now, Zero Prince does know about the location of Aussie Princess, or rather suspects about certain positioning. But now it seems that 71st's attention has been now drawn to the train room where, well, Sav just got caught off guard with whilst trying to scout out ahead, and well, already an opening for 71st to just full-on send it to the site appears, but there is still a Jaeger watching over that doorway that will be able to shut down the push, it seems.
Yeah, and this is one of the downfalls of not clearing out third floor before you're going for an attack onto that reading room site. You know, sure, it might be a better site to attack on, but if you're not careful, oh gosh, Aussie Princess, you should not be getting kills like that. But Aussie Princess manages to get that kill through the vertical, which definitely will be alerting 71st to the locations. Ticked off, plants down the bomb, but gets down for her troubles with a C4, which means that the bomb will not be going off. Present gets that kill onto Ticked Off. Weasel trades out Tigress through wallbanging her, and Serenity gets that kill onto Zero Prince, which means it is just going to be Weasel in a 1v3.
Yeah, in a 1v3 situation, couldn't really do, unfortunately, much there for herself as Serenity just had the angle on her. But yeah, that was, once again, a bit of a roller coaster of emotions, really, because it seemed that the early beginning of the round was in the hands of Nocturnal. Then all of a sudden, kind of the opening was there for the push, and we almost seen the plant go down. And straight on after that, Nocturnal kind of woke up again, got the frags, and pretty much ran away with the dub there.
You know, I'm going to say something that might be a little controversial, but I don't think 71st is losing in terms of gunplay. I think when it comes to fragging power, at this point, from what we've seen in these first 3 rounds, 71st is holding their own against, you know, a team like Nocturnal who has shown that they are incredibly strong when it comes to gunfights. Instead, I think the reason why 71st isn't doing as well on these attacking rounds is purely because of this decision making. They're not clearing out angles that they should be clearing out. They went for a bomb plant that wasn't really covered or wasn't really, you know, protected by her teammates, and because of that, that was the round lost. Instead, if they had, you know, held their flanks, if they had managed to get the appropriate intel on where the defenders were playing, I think these rounds could be going a lot more closer.
Actually, I'll agree with you on that, and I was tempted to actually ask if that is the reason why they are losing. Because yeah, I'll certainly agree their gunplay is certainly on point. Yeah, and could most certainly contest with Nocturnal pretty easily. Yeah, it just seems like coordination and kind of the understanding of where do they want to port is, yeah, certainly still yet a thing that needs to be kind of fixed up, and maybe for mainly that reason is why they are currently yet to make it to the 3rd place in the top 4 position. But I mean, still, it's still a learning ground for them. Obviously, Nocturnal are a much stronger opponent compared to some of the previous teams that 71st played against. So it's certainly going to be quite a challenge for them to get a win and well, even get a fair few rounds, even, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, hopefully, you know, with the amount of adaptability that 71st have shown in their prior games, hopefully they do realize, you know, why their first push onto that cocktail bar wasn't really the most effective, and it was because they were just moving a little bit too slow. You know, they had the right idea of clearing out the pixel by throwing all their projectiles, but they just acted with not enough time left. So hopefully we see a little bit of a faster action from them this time.
Well, so far it seems like 71st are once again going finally for the drop down, and their first objective is going to be to see if they can get a breach and get rid of Aussie Princess's position as quickly as possible. Meeps will be having a completely different angle to see if she can get some early clearing from the get-go and from a completely different position, maybe ignore a few more positions, but seems at the moment that that's not the case. all of the Nocturnal squad is actually just playing in a very kind of tame pace, apart from the fact that Crescent just got droned out, so potentially could be shut out from one of the windows or from below, but apart from that, really, it's still just a push in the piano room, and I believe Sav is actually the one that, playing from down below, so she's just waiting for the moment of truth to go in and throw in the C4.
Yeah, you know, Goyo playing underneath with a C4 is definitely something to be scary of, considering all of that piano floor is going to be soft. Tiger X does realize that there is an air jab right next to her, but Sav, you know, we were just talking about you. Gets that C4 onto Daddy Matty, which does mean that Zofia player is going to be out of commission for this round.
And that is a really huge impact onto the general utility and the gunfight possibilities for 71st. Crescent already with Serenity find themselves a frag, but at the very least Meeps is able to trade things out. On a reload, caught off guard, Crescent finds her second kill, whilst TikTok does get a bit of a trade-off. Does spot the position of the Maestro, but currently just being pressured from just way too many positions. Needs to go in for the plant, but it seems that like she's just about to be finished off here. She's sprinting behind, completely unaware, but there we go. Sav does get her second kill, and a defuse to boot.
Yeah, normally those, I believe the reason why Sav wasn't able to spot out TikTok in that case was because normally, you know, the bar is actually supposed to be shotgunned out if you are playing as a defender team, just so when they do go for default plants next to their trash site or behind the bar, you will be able to see them through the scaffolding instead of just not being able to.
Yeah. Usually that pretty much whole bar gets destroyed as well by the shotgun, so yeah.
Little bit of a
maybe if they want to defend on a little bit more of a open kind of minded bar, maybe bring in an Oryx, because pretty sure that trick is still there, that you can just dash right beside that bar and it just clears out pretty much the whole debris out of it.
I love
Pretty
just
sure
seeing an Oryx come in and you're like, oh man, I wonder what he's going to be bringing to the team, and you just realize that it's because no one on the team plays, you know, smoke or mute with the shotgun, and instead he's just a rotate maker and he just thumps through like 3 walls, and then you have a Doc on the defending team who just stims him right back up, and you're like, I see.
He's the human human breaching charge. Actually, I remember playing Oryx on one of the occasions, and I decided to make a rotation because I was getting pressured from the piano, and I decided to bust through this very wall, only to find myself seeing 3 attackers drop down through the main and Skylight. It's like, oh, well, I guess I'll go die now.
We'll be right back in a bit.
Yeah, it's one of those to be continued memes.
Da 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 da.
Cue the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure theme. Anyways, talking about the Bizarre Adventures, we are back to the kitchen, bakery, and cooking. To come around, and Weasel once again will be attempting to pressure the connector room as much as possible, but it seems that it's just the hologram that is being sent right on over, as I don't think Aussie Princess's position has been spotted out, or rather, well, they're just attempting to discover that. The disc throw should have been the good indication, and that is actually good timing for Aussie Princess to throw in her Maya Magnet, and funnily enough, that ADS did not actually eat up the frag grenade, which is an alarming thing, and did the fire cannon catch up to her? Don't think it will, actually.
Hasn't caught up to her quite yet, but, you know, 71st don't have that Zofia to be able to break that shield, so they will need to throw at least one more grenade to break that shield to be able to force out, you know, whoever is going to be holding out behind that bar. But unfortunately, Zero Prince doesn't have any more frag grenades left, so I believe the correct choice of events at this point would be to relocate and go for a different push, because clearing out the deployable shield is going to be incredibly difficult. The intel does come out that the Wamai is stunned, but no one on 71st is able to capitalize on it. Zero Prince goes for a vault into small bakery and gets that headshot onto Aussie Princess. What a beautiful pre-fire that was. Unfortunately, Tiger X takes down Zero Prince for her troubles through that rotate.
A bomb has been located.
Yeah, but at the very least, the control of the bakery has been established, and with Weasel finding another frag, could be huge, but no, Serenity and Sav have completely different plans for that case, which will be leaving TikTok and Daddy Matty as the last two remaining players, and they are certainly in a whole lot of trouble. Too many angles to contest, and now it's all down to the lone Capitao to try to clutch it out. Should be able to find the engagement successful for herself against a Jaeger, but even then, unfortunately, misses out on the shots. But at the very least, both AJ Tigers and Serenity helpful is actually pretty low, but it doesn't really help.
Unfortunately, Tiger X does get that final kill and, wasn't able to clutch.
Yeah, quite an unfortunate outcome there, but it is what it is. 5-0 scoreline. The match that, at least I personally was expecting to go borderline overtime. Turns out we might actually just be seeing a very quick conclusion of this match, given just the fact that it's just seeming to be just a series of unfortunate events for 71st. The moment they get a chance at an opening, and a good chance nonetheless, that opening by Zero Prince was fantastic. It seems that Nocturnal are able to double down on their response and able to take two for the price of one, essentially.
Yeah, however, 71st has been on attack this entire time, so if 71st is able to claim at least one attacking round away, this will mean that their job on defense will be marginally easier than going into a 6-0 at least, and we will be able to see some more defense rounds come out of 71st, which could show a different side of them. It could show a side that they are more practiced in and they are more confident in, so hopefully for their sakes they do manage to claim this round away, especially seeing as it is going to be on that reading room site, which was one of the closer rounds that we did see the last time that they attacked.
10 seconds
The
left
main
before insertion.
thing here for 71st is the fact that they will need to clear out Pulse's position that Sav will be playing around. Last time it was able to thwart quite a few plans, but this time I believe Weasel's drone was actually able to spot out the Pulse, so theoretically they should have full knowledge about the presence of the FBI operator. But the main other issue is, it's more so for Nocturnal, I would presume, is the fact that only a single player is theoretically only on site. So if 71st do elect to, say, rush through the brownstairs right into reading, they could take a pretty firm control over the site and force Nocturnal to go into a retake mode, which would certainly put them at a quite disadvantage.
Yeah, based on what you just said though, I do want to say, where Tiger X is holding in that reading room, there are a lot of line of sights that have been opened up on the feet part, so little feet holes or little head height holes, whichever one is to her preference. And because of those holes, it does mean that she will be able to hold both sides quite effectively, assuming she stays alive, that's of course. But 99% of the time it is going to be quite an effective hold, so a lot of the times you will only see 1 to 2 players playing on site, especially for that reading room site. But as I was talking, Serenity does get that first kill onto Weasel, which does mean that the air jab lady is going to be out of commission today.
And pretty quickly as well, she got taken out, so that is certainly going to be quite a bit of an issue. Another frag grenade is being booked up here to maybe see if Zero Prince could find one of the defenders, but it seems that right now is just chunking away at all of the HP. Meebs does actually manage to find a kill onto Sav, so that is a solid beginning. Now they do need to see if they can get rid of AJ Tiger, as seeing as Crescent just managed to get the frag there onto Zero Prince. So now it's only a single person that is actually being bullied from a great variety of angles, and that does mean that Meebs and TikTok are going to be the last two players remaining to try to clutch it out, and both of them are actually really disconnected from each one another.
Yeah, this is something that we haven't seen a lot out of 71st. The entire time that they have been playing for these rounds, they have been playing a lot more coordinated and a lot more together, but right now it feels like two solid player games, or two solid players trying to achieve almost different ideals. However, they did meet up, and it looks like they are going to be going for more of a dining plant. TikTok is making sure that there is no flank onto their back. There is an air jab that is being placed. Don't know if that was communicated, but as it is, TikTok does get that headshot onto Serenity. Tiger X does take a little bit of damage as well, and it is going to be Meebs in control of that first bomb site.
Yeah, meanwhile, TikTok is still attempting to
15 seconds
recover
to go.
the
Attackers
diffuser
recovered
that
the
did get
diffuser.
dropped. Meeps does find
10
the
seconds
diffuser and
remaining.
actually picks it back up. So right now it's down to Meeps to actually go in for the push
5
because
seconds to
TikTok
go.
is already just boosting straight on site. Needs to go in for the plan and actually stick it, and just in the nick of time will be Crescent. They'll be going in for the swing. Does get
Operators
rid of
have run
TikTok,
out of
and
time.
that is a flawless half as Nocturnal once again stole away around that pretty much was just about to be won out by 71st.
Yeah, and this is another one of those instances that even though 71st weren't successful in taking that round, they definitely pulled it extremely close just by their sheer gunplay.
Yeah, gunplay was just absolutely fantastic from 71st. The big props to Meeps and TikTok as well for nearly pulling a clutch there, but unfortunately for them, could not really close it out. So, reading room. The side that, like you mentioned before, has been arguably one of the better ones for the attack of 71st will be their first site to pick for the defense. Do you reckon this will be a
Attackers
good
need to
idea,
locate
given that
and
they,
defuse
I
as many
suppose, have a
bombs as they
fresh
can.
memory of the layout of of the site, I suppose? Or do you reckon it's their attempt to kind of throw off the comp of Nocturnal to kind of see if they bring in two different lineups for different sites?
Attackers have
Well,
discovered the location
I
of the
actually
bomb.
think Reading Room Fireplace is one of the strongest sites on Cafe. There will be a few YouTube videos that also cement what I'm saying, but a lot of the times when you do go for that Reading Room Fireplace hold, you definitely need a castle if you want it to be successful. Now, I
10
know
seconds to
Nocturnal
go.
didn't bring a castle the entire time that they did hold it, but they were
seconds
still
left
successful
before
due to being able to, get those kills and be able to get the flank onto
Attackers are heading
71st.
out to
But I
defuse
think
the bomb.
71st is playing a lot more safer and a lot more smarter. With those castle barricades, you are able to hold more of a stronger defender side onto that cocktail balk, which does mean that you do get control of the verticals and you do get better control of that bar. Because the reason why Reading Room and Fireplace is so strong is purely because of that side of cocktail balcony that you can hold. A lot of the times, why that third floor defender side is so strong is also because of that cocktail balcony where Weasel is currently playing. So if you really want to condense all the strong points of that third floor defender side and you condense it down into Reading Room and Fireplace, that is one of the reasons why it could be a very viable site to hold.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. Just the fact that it does offer quite a fair bit of flexibility. Unfortunately, right now, Zero Prince is about to get pressured from too many locations, already being peaked on by Sav, and that is a very aggressive push, even compared to what we saw previously from 71st whenever they were on attack. Already the Ballistic Shield is completely gone and out, and Meeps has been forced out of Piano completely. Funnily enough, also, the hatch in the cocktail room has not been opened up, so finally we're back into it. But it seems that, yeah, this momentum that Nocturnal are bringing in is completely almost borderline alien for 71st, as it looks like they just completely unexpected. Well, they didn't expect that kind of push to really come around.
Yeah, to be able to capitalize on the strength of that cocktail balcony, you really can't be peeking into Nocturnal like that because you're quite literally handing them these free kills. And this does mean that third floor control has been given over to Nocturnal because of that. 71st is falling back onto site into more safe positions, but TikTok has to be really careful because this is when the verticals are going to start getting opened. And she is playing on the site with the most amount of vertical punishment, especially if Serenity gets that intel as to where the defenders are playing and opens up right above her.
Well, just like that, we actually do see a few openings, and well, TikTok is able to fall back at just the right moment, but already so much of the floor is getting absolutely destroyed, and well, a whole lot of peaks are definitely going to be coming around, so it's certainly going to be a bit of an issue for Nocturnal to go in for the push, even with the 5v3. But right now, if TikTok does go down, this will be a huge push here for Nocturnal. Actually, heck it, We're already seeing it down from TikTok, and Crescent actually just full on
Seconds to
sent
go.
on the side.
Attackers are activating.
You know, I was going to say, if TikTok could manage to stay alive, she had a C4 in her pocket, so she was able to clutch that out. Unfortunately, it is going to be Nocturnal, sending it all the way to site, getting that flawless round, as well as cleaning up Cafe to be a flawless 7-0.
Flawless 7-0. Now that is the victory that I don't think both of us really, well, at least I personally did not expect, but well played to Nocturnal. Once again, they do solidify themselves up at the top of the leaderboard, and there we go. Yep. We're gonna get the R6 analyst just out of the way for now. But yeah, look, massive grats to Nocturnal. They did a pretty solid job. I absolutely loved how momentum based their whole push was, which was just the perfect counter to what 71st was setting up for. Like you said, it seemed that 71st did try to go for a bit more kind of big brain utility heavy holds and a bit more passive, but it seemed that this time the aggressiveness of the attack kind of won out that match.
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, I think maybe if 71st were given more rounds on defense, they would have been able to showcase a different side, considering, you know, their attacks that weren't very successful. However, as it is, they did lose one too many attacking rounds to be able to claim back any sort of advantage that they could take, or any sort of safety net, essentially, which did mean that as soon as they lost the first defender round, it was just going to be a game over.
Yeah. That definitely did put them at quite a disadvantage. The fact that they couldn't really muster up a single point within the first half definitely was quite unfortunate. But well, with that said, there's still a few more games for 71st to really bring themselves back on the leaderboard and see if they can maybe claw their way back up on the top 3 maybe positions. But for the time being, we are going to be going on a break, as we are going to be setting things up for our second matchup that is going to be ShadowNet versus Nutty Gaming.
Enter into a new dimension of gaming and push your PC to the extreme with uncompromised graphics performance. So compact you have to see it to believe it. The way you play will never be the same.
about the best way to save them. I'm not thinking about the best way. I'm not thinking about the best way. I'm not thinking about the best way. I'm not thinking about the best way to save them. I'm not thinking about the best way. I'm not thinking about the best way.
I think that you should come back home.
I've been thinking about you lately, and all the places that you could take me. Why you so shy? You got me going wild. 'Cause I've been saying that you got it, baby, give it to me. See my lightning, you gonna feel my thunder. Show me how you do it, come on, baby, say it louder. Got you on my mind now, let me see your style. I'm on my way tonight. Oh, yeah, yeah. 'Cause I think about you, you. 'Cause I think about but you don't need to behave, gonna take me away, baby. Do it one more time. And the thought of you drives me crazy. You don't need to worry, cause you know that you got me. Cause I think about you, you. Cause I think about, Lord, I think about you. Cause I think about you. Hey, cause I think about, Lord, I think about you.
escape. When you're walking on the moon, chase your happy place. Will change your groove. When you're dancing on the moon, dancing on the moon. When we dance again, all our trouble seems to fade away. This is how I feel when you take me to some levels that I've never been. When we dance again, all our trouble seems to fade away. This is how I feel when you take me to some places that I've never been. When we dance again, that I've never been, that I've never been, that I've never, ever, never, ever, 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 never been.
Walking on the moon.
Siege. Yeah, I've heard of it, and I am the GOAT. When I'm attacking, no room is safe. Doors. Yeah, I think I remember them. Before I discovered Windows, the thinking man's door. I've come up with something I like to call a spawn kill. You've probably never heard of it. Because when I'm in defense, nobody gets in my bank. Teammates, droning. Listen, I've got all of the intelligence I need right here. My only team is me, my gun, and my skills.
Enter into a new dimension of gaming and unlock your gaming experience. Powerful and portable, with uncompromised graphics performance. The way you play will never be the same.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Season 3 of Women's League. Week 5, my name is still the Russian Cthulhu. I'm still joined by a wonderful Pi. And Pi, look, we had a pretty... Probably the best way to describe it is unusual, kind of one-sided first match.
Yeah, after that Nocturnal and 71st game, we went into it knowing that Nocturnal were going to be the stronger team, but we definitely had a few expectations for 71st as well. This is actually quite similar to that time when it was the Elevate versus Nocturnal game where we were like, both these teams are really strong teams and really capable teams, but unfortunately the match just didn't show that result. So something similar happened today where I believe 71st might have not felt like it was their game, or maybe things just didn't go quite right. But as it was, Nocturnal did show us a very dominating side, and they showed us a very dominating victory.
Definitely, yeah. Certainly managed to set themselves up for a pretty good setup, good scoreline, as well as that. If any further tiebreakers do come around, they're still going to be keeping themselves up above the rest of the team. So, while for Nocturnal, this is pretty much the end of the day for them, just to get to chill, maybe, watch the stream as well. We do have a few updates on the scores as well. So we did actually have another 7-0 come out from Elevate as well against Barry's Bees. And the final matchup that we do have for tonight is going to be ShadowNet versus Nutty Gaming. So this is more so of kind of a matchup for the middle of the leaderboard. But any kind of initial thoughts about it before we take a deep dive later on?
Well, ShadowNet versus Nutty, as we said earlier in this stream, ShadowNet is quite a capable team, and they have showed us a lot of good results in the past, which does indicate, because their position on the leaderboard is quite high. Whereas compared to Nutty haven't had the best games throughout this entire round robin. They haven't been able to nab a victory under their belt quite just yet. They did, however, have an extremely close game last week that was on stream against Barry's Bees, where it actually went into overtime, one of the first times in Women's League. So, I hope, maybe they're feeling a little bit bitter about that loss. Maybe it should have been theirs. So maybe they'll be able to go into today's game against ShadowNet, fully ready to show us what they're made out of.
Yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, for ShadowNet, they will need to use this opportunity to skyrocket themselves up on the leaderboard as well, because I do believe they are still currently sitting in the 3rd spot on the leaderboard, right behind Elevate. So if they will be able to get themselves a victory here, they should be able to still catch up back to Nocturnal, Elevate, to push this back into yet another tiebreaker between these three teams. So there's a few possibilities here for both of the teams, and both of the teams would definitely need to double down on this opportunity. But let's actually take a deep dive onto the rosters as well, and see what's what, essentially.
Yep, so looking at the roster of ShadowNet, it is going to be Minxie as their team captain, Mons, Diana, Soy, Crips, Time for Pie as their sub player, as well as Crumbspec as their coach. So, as we said before, ShadowNet is quite a strong team, and they do have a few players that have been recurring in this Women's League, most notably in Season 1 and Season 2. There are members in the current ShadowNet roster, so they are no stranger when it comes to an XP Women's League game, and so it'd be good to see how strong they can really show us to be.
Yeah, certainly they've proven us quite a fair few things and have had a few really good, very dominant scorelines. But let's have a look at the challenges of ShadowNet tonight. It is going to be Nutty Gaming. Now, like you said, had a bit of a rough season so far, but not to discredit them, they are still a pretty solid roster. They were able to show us some pretty good plays, namely, at least personally for me, one of the big MVPs, I suppose, or rather standout players, was Cass to me.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. I think alongside Cass, Fallen is also quite a strong player, and can't really discredit Yoshi on the Kali. Yes, almost forgot that operator's name. We did, however, see Kali get banned out the last time that Nutty was on stream, so I'm curious to see if ShadowNet will do the exact same thing, because Yoshi, for those of you who are not quite aware, is quite a capable Kali player. So to be able to ban out that operator, sure, it might not be the most impactful operator, but for a roster like Nutty Gaming, it will definitely be quite an impactful ban.
Yeah, definitely, and we've seen how much did it actually affect last time we saw Kali to be banned out, as how much it put Yoshi on a bit of a almost back foot, I suppose, for their game. So yeah, certainly it is a big thing that needs to also be quite accounted for. Now, one more thing that we do need to talk about is going to be the map vetoes and bans, and which map we shall be seeing for our second matchup streamed on the main channel, and that is going to be the wonderful Coastline, the map that is occasionally referred as the Frag Fiesta kind of plays comparative to Cafe, where it does require a little bit more of, I suppose, utility and tactical finesse to get success on it. So while I still think that there will be plenty of strats revolving all of the sites, I'm definitely keen to see what both of these teams will be able to pull out, because I most certainly would have to say that both of these rosters can definitely frag out. It's more so, I would imagine, maybe could get down to general kind of chemistry maybe between the players.
Yeah, chemistry as well as positioning will definitely be impactful factors as to whether or not either team will be able to win it out on Coastline. Because as you said, it is quite a frag-heavy map where there is going to be less necessary implementation of, hard breaches, of utility, of even just vertical play in general. Because, I mean, sure, it's probably not the most ideal, but you could possibly go through the entire coastline without even going through vertical play. However, that would be a little bit confident on whichever team is going to be on the attacking side. So hopefully we do see a little bit of vertical play, a little bit of, smart thinking is always going to be fun to cast. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Keen to see what can be done here. Now we're just waiting for the players to populate the lobby and get things underway. But yeah, look, I'm quite keen to see what will be the turnout tonight. I believe Minxie will be joining her roster here in Women's League after an unfortunate departure from the LPL Pro roster. But look, she's still a fantastic fragger. The whole roster of, like we mentioned before, Shannon has definitely came into this matchup as more so of the favorites comparative to Natty Gaming. But for both of these rosters, this is a fantastic opportunity to get themselves some points on board. Now, with the fact that it is going to be Natty Gaming to start on attack, do you reckon we might be seeing a bit of a maybe similar outcome in the first half comparative to what we saw between Nocturnal and 71st? Or do you reckon the favor is actually more so into the attack and for the attackers to kind of dictate the overall pace?
Well, I think, if you were to compare map playstyle, Cafe and Coastline could not be more different. Where,
Yeah, that is true.
as an attacking team on Coastline, you can choose however way you want to really be attacking. There really is no one meta way of attacking where you have to clear this, have to do that, have to therefore get the bomb down in a specific spot. Because, as we said, it is a frag-heavy map where you could potentially just run through, send it down, and just kill everyone before the bomb even gets close to the actual bomb site. So, I think the momentum will definitely be in the hands of the attackers, starting out at least. But once the round progresses, or as the rounds progress, based on how aggressively ShadowNet will be playing as a defender team, which we did see a lot of aggressive plays come out of them when they were on their previous stream matches as well. They showed us a very aggressive defender-sided attitude that we haven't seen before. So based on how aggressive they play, they could really turn this momentum around, make Nutty maybe a little bit scared about approaching any doors or any windows, and really control the game from there.
Yeah, that's a very good note actually about how ShadowNet can get aggressive about some of their defense. So yeah, it's certainly going to be also a big question as to how will they, I suppose, react to the playstyle of Natty Gaming, whether it's going to be just full send or whether it is much more tame. Yeah, look, I'm feeling like we might be seeing a much closer scoreline than a 7-0, but if it is going to be a 7-0, I believe this is actually going to be first time in pretty much the whole of Women's League where we shall have the full day of just 7-0s back to back to back. So certainly a few odd scorelines could be really achieved here, but I'm just keen for the action. We're just still waiting for 2 more players, ladies and gentlemen. So we, as soon as the 5th player for one of the teams will join, we shall be pretty much sending it underway. But we could actually quickly talk about the fact that for oh gosh, completely flying out of my head, the rivalry between Elevate and Nocturnal currently. They, outside of Women's League, they had a bit of a play of between each one another, and Elevate kind of came out with a very with a very decisive kind of scoreline. I believe it was 7-1, I think. Do you reckon this kind of scoreline could also transfer over whenever we'll see maybe Nocturnal play against Elevate sometime soon, maybe?
Well, I believe, a few weeks ago we did actually manage to see Elevate versus Nocturnal on stream when it was on Consulate, where, for two teams who are so evenly matched when it comes to looking at their score on the round robin, we definitely expected them to, have a little bit of a closer scoreline or have a little bit more of a challenge towards each other, seeing as they are the two giants when it comes to this round robin. Unfortunately, maybe Nocturnal wasn't feeling it, or maybe the map choice wasn't what they were expecting, but, Elevate definitely dominated against Nocturnal in that instance, which makes me a little bit worried, I guess, for how the teams will be ranking up in the future, because for Nocturnal, who are, as you would say, the closest contenders to being a challenger to Elevate, if Elevate can so easily deal with Nocturnal at this rate, maybe they're just a shoo-in for first place again.
Yeah, well, I suppose we'll have to see. Now, we finally do get the R's from both of the teams. Let's have a quick peek at the coastline before we transfer straight into the game. And, well, it's good luck, have fun for both of the teams. Quick final checks if all the settings are fine, and, well, time to get things underway. It is going to be Nutty Gaming to kick things off on attack, like I mentioned before. ShadowNet on the defense. And potentially for ShadowNet, this is the big time for them to get maybe the early advantage with their overly aggressive playstyle, or maybe Nutty Gaming will be able to surprise us here with them being the ones to set the pace and the tone for the matchup. Anything that you might be expecting, maybe bans-wise here between the teams? Maybe a Jackal ban, possibly?
Yeah, I think out of all of the maps to see a Jackal ban come out, it would be that map, but as it is, it will be a ShadowNet banning out Kali. And we did talk a little bit about the impactfulness of that Kali ban. Sure, Kali isn't the go-to operator that you see being banned on Coastline. However, Nutty Gaming do have a very capable Kali player in their roster, so to be able to ban out that operator shows a little bit of insight into maybe how ShadowNet thinks Nutty will be playing.
Yeah, funnily enough, actually, Yoshi just mentioned that good thing that she doesn't play Kali on this map particularly, but I think that might be a little bit of a bluff there. But look, a Monty ban is definitely a bit of a interesting one to kind of add things up here, as given that maybe it's also a target ban against ShadowNet, given that Minxie was one of the few players that did kind of bring in kind of shield meta strats to her LPL Pro squad back in the day.
Yeah, I have seen Minxie play a fair few shield operators. She is no stranger to a Clash as well, once we're talking about shield operators. And Clash on Coastline is not something that is unheard of, so I'm curious to see, seeing as that Clash ban hasn't come through, maybe Minxie might be able to pull off the Clash on one of these rounds.
Yeah, that's quite a possibility, actually. Definitely curious if that is going to be the case here, but look, we'll have to see if this is going if we shall be seeing quite a whole lot of picks. But as of now, it looks like, well, nothing will be switched around here too much, given that it's a Goyo to a Goyo 6-pick.
It's always the best sort of 6-pick when you... I believe the Goyo to Goyo was possibly because maybe they wanted to change off of Goyo, maybe they were debating about it, but the timer ran out, so you switched onto the original operator.
Yeah. Either way. We shall be seeing the first site to be kitchen and service, as first site to be defended here by ShadowNet. Looking at their lineup, any kind of thoughts about what could be the setup for their
10 seconds left.
for their defense? Whether it's there's any kind of indication for an aggressive play or more so of just anchor-sided? Oh, never mind. Just, you know what? Now I just feel stupid.
Well, way to make me eat your words. You know, I would like to say I believe, you know, ShadowNet is going for more of a roam play. You know, just looking at how their players are so spread out. You really only see Crips and Mons playing on site, which does mean that Sawyer is going to be playing in that Sunrise. And there will be 2 roamers upstairs, Minxie and Diana.
Yeah, actually looking at the top floor, nobody is yet to even get remotely close to deciding to push the second floor. It seems that the first point of pressure is going to be the Sunrise, where Soy is, as well as that Yoshi is just about to maybe start mulching up the floor. But instead it's actually just her trying to just hold down the position up on Hookah Lounge and see if she can maybe push out and start get rid of the roam up on the second floor.
Yeah, it's good to see that Nutty Gaming has brought in 2 soft breaches, the Buck and the Sledge. A lot of the times when we do see teams play on Coastline, they won't really bring in a dedicated soft breacher, and if they do, there'll only be 1, which does mean if the defenders are able to get that first kill onto possibly the Sledge, because we don't see a Buck a lot of the times, it does mean that a lot of the vertical capabilities will be reduced for the attacking team, and it really limits how much they can play the map. So to be able to see these 2 soft breaches is definitely an improvement to what a lot of teams have been showing us.
Yeah, I'm liking most definitely the decision to bring in the Sledge and the Buck, as this definitely eliminates all the really need to be conservative with some of the soft breaching utility, and that will definitely open all the needed possibilities. Now, interestingly enough, actually, the first damage has been dealt onto Diana and actually completely shot down by Toki, so that is a good opening here, given that now that does leave only Minxie with the fragging, well, with the fragging task, but Yoshi actually shuts that down pretty promptly as well. So full clear out of the top floor. No trade out, not even a single bit of damage has been actually dealt to the attacking side of Nutty Gaming. And well, for ShadowNet, this is going to be a bit of an alarming situation, given that it's only 3 players remaining just about and around the site.
Doesn't look like there's any C4s left in the pocket of ShadowNet either. Mons gets a little bit of damage traded out in that bathroom area. All of that ceiling in the service is going to be open. She does get down for her troubles by Cass. Caskilling takes a little bit of damage in return. And this is looking like quite a strong start for Nutty Gaming.
Soy has a few plans here. Does manage to get a kill onto Yoshi to shut things down. Crips is still alive and actually playing at probably the most safest position here to prevent the push, because the push is coming through the bathrooms, and well, there's a drop down on the Nomad as well. Full magazine has been used up and no plan has been actually achieved by Nutty Gaming, and just like that, with only a 2-player army, ShadowNet able to clutch it out.
Maybe Nutty wasn't aware of how low the timer had gotten, because there definitely should have been enough time for maybe one of the soft breaches to breach through the soft walls of that bathroom and to possibly get that intel onto Crips. At this point, you know, with Crips getting that kill in the service area, it indicates they maybe didn't know that she was there. But I'm surprised at how lax that Nutty let the time go, because they did have the advantage that entire round.
Yeah, the advantage was full on there in the hands of Nutty Gaming, which certainly is feels bad for them, given that they've lost out that round. But at the very least, I'll say with full confidence that the way how they cleared out the top floor and kept on applying pressure up above was definitely a good, ready move in to potentially getting themselves a win sometime soon. Being able to get rid of almost about 90% of the area that was playable for the defense is certainly a step in the right direction there.
Yeah, but as it is for ShadowNet, you know, if I was a member on ShadowNet, I would definitely be a little bit more cautious, because if that timer, you know, maybe if they had 10 more seconds even left on the board, the first round could have gone entirely differently for ShadowNet, and they probably wouldn't be sitting 1 round up at this point.
Yeah, certainly it seems that ShadowNet were able to just kind of run away and steal away that round. Soy's position as well was completely undrone. It was quite literally just a punch hole in the Sunrise, where Minxie's actually just going to be sitting around this time. And it certainly is quite... It was quite interesting to see that that whole area got pretty much completely blindsided.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a rush of time. Maybe there wasn't enough intel. You know, a multitude of factors could have been the reason for it. Hopefully, it's not a persisting factor in how Nutty play, and hopefully, you know, they realize their mistakes and overcome it.
Oh my! Talking about the overcoming the mistakes here, Mons nearly lost her life to the very tight angle that Yoshi had, and Yoshi's actually once again showing her prowess on a completely different operator now, able to get rid of Minxie, who was trying to roam around down at the Sunrise and Kitchen area. I do believe that poor Minxie still has to deal with the hand injury, so that might be also the reason to some of the mishaps that do occur in her playtime here.
Yeah, you know, definitely being clumsy with your kitchen utensils and injuring your hand is not good when you're trying to play this game, when you're trying to play Siege, and you really need all 5 fingers to be able to operate your mouse and keyboard effectively. But Soy, despite getting droned out in that blue bar, is able to get that kill onto Yoshi, showing that just having a buck isn't all it is. She gets a double kill onto Cheesebender. Does she know that there is a third in Sunrise? Because this could be the start of Soy. She does see the top of the head, but I don't think she recognizes it for what it is. Unfortunately, that will be another life saved though.
Yeah, that was a very close one. If only she just tapped away, that could have been it for Cass, I believe, actually. Yeah, that's Cass playing and trying to drone out for herself. Well, at the very least, she now knows and gets the full confirmation that the Mozzie is still there. And Soy will be ready to pretty much take those gunfights. One of the drones just got yoinked away by the pest system of Mozzie, but I don't think it has been shot at. Soy is starting to look a little bit more anxious about whether she needs to keep holding her location or position or not, but at the very least, Kaz has gone down to the hands of Diana, so it's down to Toki and Novawick to make that push.
Mons takes a lot of damage on that pool side. She is trying to trade it out with Toki at this point. She's only 1 bullet away. Toki does wide swing, gets that headshot, gets that double kill. First onto Mons, second onto Crips, but they don't have that diffuser because if you remember, it was actually Soy who managed to down the diffuser. And once again, it will be Nutty running out of time because they just don't have that diffuser placed on the bomb site in time.
Ay, ay, ay. Again, a misfortunate turn of events did not really help the team of Nutty Gaming with their play here. Blue Bar and Sunrise will be the next site to be defended here by ShadowNet, and already 2 times in a row being able to completely trick their opponents, seeming to be just the play that ShadowNet are going for, just draining out all the time and keeping the attention of the attack on just the right people. Big props to Soy as well for just keeping up there and just completely nullifying the whole push up on the ground floor.
Yeah, definitely. If Soy wasn't able to secure those first 2 kills that she had, you know, all of these verticals would have been opened up by Yoshi on that buck, which definitely would have pressured the defenders a lot more. Plus, they would have still had possession of the diffuser instead of it being dropped in such an awkward rotate in between Sunrise and Blue Bar, which Soy was keeping an eye on at all times.
Yeah, that P10 Ronnie did definitely do quite some work on the attackers as well. So, good job, Soy. But for Nutty Gaming, though, gotta give also props to Toki. That was Toki and Yoshi, as a matter of fact, for making a pretty good opening for their push. And if not for the fact that they were unable to retrieve the diffuser, they would have been able to actually win out round number 2 as well, I reckon. Even whilst it was a very close scoreline.
Yeah, I think this is another one of those instances, similar to the game with Nocturnal versus 71st, the last game that was on stream. I believe both these teams are quite evenly matched when it comes to just pure fragging power. Really, the only reason why Nutty was losing or has lost these first 2 rounds is because they, had those unnecessary deaths at the start, possibly due to a lack of intel, and they weren't able to trade out these kills that they received. And because of that, they lost possession of the diffuser, or they weren't able to guarantee site control, which led to their ultimate demise.
Bomb located by attackers.
Fresh set of games to be witnessed here. Cass trying to get some vertical game going as, funnily enough, well, nobody's actually sitting around the area of the blue bar, so maybe some poking at the sunrise could really do the thing. Oh, sees the feed, but just could not do it, and the frag grenade does land at not the best position. Now that does give the indication to ShadowNet as to where do they need to steer clear of, and well, I do believe that right now Diana is actually stuck in a little bit of a peculiar situation.
I wouldn't quite say she was stuck. I would say she was being quite aggressive in that instance, looking for a peek onto that kitchen window, possibly helping out Minxie. But Minxie gets that frag by herself. However, she also gets that double kill onto Novawith as well, which does mean that Mons might be able to live a little bit longer. She is in a safe position at this point in time. I don't believe it is resable though, but hopefully in her last moments she will be able to provide a little bit of intel at least for her team.
Yeah, at least some intel could be gained here. Minxie is still just waiting up on the push to happen, because I don't think Nutty Gaming will be even prompting to drop down through the hatch, at least just yet. So they're still attempting to find some sort of a vertical game. Smoke grenade does come out. Mons is just about to bleed out, so we just about to see ourselves into 4v3. There we go. Cass has managed to force Mons to bleed out. So now she has the angle right into the kitchen door where last time Minxie was seen, but Minxie has already fallen back to a little bit more of a passive angle, just knowing that she could get fragged out here. She could pretty much go down. Now, I'm not too sure whether... No, the diffuser has not been dropped yet, so that is already an improvement compared to the previous rounds. And a push between Cheesebender and Cass does need to happen as quickly as possible, because the time is, once again, time is of the essence. And Diana is about to actually go in for the push out. Spots one player, cannot prevent the push just yet, and the plan either, as the plan has been successfully gone down, and now they're completely unaware about the position. Finally, Cass does get spotted, but finds herself a double kill before Minxie shuts her down.
Yeah, Nutty were able to actually get that bomb down in play, but unfortunately, contrary to the previous rounds, ShadowNet just had more players alive in that moment, so the retake was a relatively smooth process. All they had to do was go for the angles that weren't able to be covered by the attackers, and yeah, that was it.
That was it, indeed. A quite successful play so far, and certainly looking like ShadowNet are also starting to adapt to how Nutty Gaming are playing and trying to essentially just outsmart them positions-wise, as shown by Diana, shown by Minxie. Like you pointed out before, it's just definitely they are just ramping up their individual aggression and just seeing if they can take away all that initially claimed land that the attack has started taking initially.
Yeah, and that's one of the dangers of Coastline if you don't effectively roam clear. Minxie was in that kitchen site and she did manage to hold her own the entire time, which did mean that when she was asked to go for a retake, she had all the available angles down, because there was never any pressure onto her. There was never a server side clear to push her out of kitchen, to maybe push her into the hallway, so that whoever was on Cool Lives could be able to, almost collateral a kill onto her. Instead, there was none of that. They just went straight for side, they went straight for the plant. Admittedly, time was a little short on Nutty's side, so that could possibly also be a factor, but definitely need a lot more roam clear to come out of Nutty for a successful plant like that.
Well, talking about the roaming game,
10 seconds remaining.
at least at the very moment, there is going to be a 4-player hold up above.
5 seconds to go.
Soy, Diana, Minxie, and Crips will be, at least for now, setting up above.
Attackers are
It's
heading
going
out
to be
to defuse
Mons
the
as
bomb.
a sole person to try to guard the site, because otherwise, if Nutty do read into it, if they do end up going in for the rush in, they could have taken site pretty quickly, but it seems that Soy and Diana actually fallen back to the site, so back to a 2-player hold. And even then, Crips and Minxie are actually pretty much separated right now.
Yeah, but Crips and Minxie have shown that they are quite an effective roam duo when it comes to it. You know, when they are on the attack and one is on the entry and the other is on the flex, they have shown that they are able to support each other quite well. So I wouldn't be surprised if this synergy carries over to when they are both duo roaming like this. Coastline is a map that is quite spread out, so possibly you do want to see them a bit closer. But Soy is there ready to do what Soy does best, which is to get that opening frag onto Yoshi.
Absolutely stunted on Yoshi, as poor Buck player will be left absolutely puzzled as to where, how, and why did she die to that peak. Meanwhile, Minxie on her own, whilst she did take quite some damage from that push, already managed to score herself her own double kill. And that is the Capitao and the Nomad completely outed. So we're back to Cheesebender and Cass once again. 2 players that ended up getting isolated from that push, and now kind of left almost puzzled as to, well, what needs to be done now.
Cheesebender does manage to take a little bit of ground onto that hooker site, but Diana is so close on cool vibes, ready to go for a refrag should Soy go down. The intel does come out that Cheesebender is on hooker site, but Diana doesn't seem to be reacting yet to this news. She's possibly just waiting for a more aggressive peek by Nutty to come out of the hooker door where, you know, her SMG will be a little bit more effective. Crips thinks about going for a roam flank, but at this point doesn't seem like she'll be going for it.
Instead, we might be seeing a very long peek onto the Jaeger of Minxie, as she is quite low on HP, and that will be a good indication for Minxie to just maybe decide to play a little bit more of a patient game. But no, Diana, C4, I believe there was a pre-placed one as well. Yes, it was right on the doorway. Pretty much managed to get rid of Cass, and now it's all down to Cheesebender to try to clutch it out. In a 1v4 situation with 38 seconds remaining, not a whole lot of options there to be taken, but still decides to engage with Crips, does dish out quite some damage, but a vile pre-fire through the wall will be pretty much seeing her demise.
Yeah, that was a beautiful pre-fire from Crips. She knew that there was someone playing on that double door, and she pre-fired through the wall and managed to clap right on.
Exactly. Well, that service entrance all done and dusted. We are now going to go directly back to the round 5, and it is going to be Hooker Lounge and Billiards Room to be brought on board. Funnily enough, first 2 rounds have actually ended in a time kind of running out. Then we see kind of an upgrade in the performance of Nutty, where they managed to actually get to the diffuser plant and actually tried to fend off a few of the defenders. And then the final round did result in pretty much the whole team of Nutty Gaming dying out. So it seems like Nutty are slowly but surely adapting kind of to also the playstyle and kind of figuring themselves out as to where and how quickly do they want to push. But it seems that that kind of decision to kind of send it and just kind of play on and adapt on the go, seeming to not really bring in a whole lot of success just yet to Nutty Gaming, as I believe they still will be kind of just learning as to, I suppose, the timings and where to really push and how to really push, maybe.
Yeah, you know, I, for one, definitely think that ShadowNet is also adapted quite well to the situations. I would definitely say the first 2 rounds were a lot more closer, where, you know, just based on possibly Nutty's poor decision making, that they weren't able to win out the rounds. But I think maybe ShadowNet was a little bit almost confronted by that, because I don't think that they expected, you know, so many losses in the first few minutes like that. So they've definitely tightened up their game a little bit, especially their roam game is a lot more tight now. Hopefully we don't see Yoshi getting those impactful kills again, because last time it was something that was a struggle to deal with, but Minxie through the hatch on Aqua gets that kill onto Yoshi just as we were talking about it. And this is not looking like a good map for Yoshi, because she has been the first to die almost every single time.
Yeah, poor Yoshi just getting bullied left, right, and center. As well as that, Soy does add things up to rubbing the salt to the injury. And that is a diffuser dropped as well. Soy picking up a double already, as Crips is about to come around to see if she can maybe reinforce her position. Now it's down to Novawick and Cass once again. It's just seeming that it's just yeah, the series of unfortunate events once again pursuing Nutty Gaming here. But yeah, I'll definitely have to agree. It's a pretty interesting tale of both of the teams adapting to each one another's playstyle pretty much on the go. But it seems that just one team is a little bit more proficient. Minxie finally does get punished on her overconfident swings and peaks, but this time it's Soy to go in for the peak, and well, she's the one that outpeaks Cass.
Yeah, this game is looking to be a lot more in the momentum of ShadowNet, considering the first 2 rounds that did go down. Soy is definitely stepping up her game to show us a little bit of what she showed us on that Clubhouse game the last time ShadowNet was streamed, where Soy did manage to get a fair few amount of kills.
Yeah, Soy was just absolutely popping off on the Clubhouse game, so certainly it's again making a return here. Is it's good to see her back in play. Minxie, funnily enough, is also following up on a fair few frags, whereas on the side of Nutty Gaming, Cass is doing all that she can to really push her team to get as close as possible. Now, looking at this lineup, now that is that brings some pain
Attackers need to locate
to me,
and
not
defuse
going
as
to
many
lie,
bombs as they can.
just to see all this horror appear. Maybe this is actually going to be kind of that desperate swing to get Nutty Gaming on board with a point, which could most certainly serve as one way to kind of just slow down the overall momentum that ShadowNet so far were able to gain.
You know, I think ultimately it doesn't matter how dirty your operator lineup is, as long as you win,
discovered the
that's
location of
really
a
all
bomb.
you care about. So,
Yeah.
considering that Nutty did go for more of a rush style operator lineup, with
10
that
seconds
Finca,
to
with that Line, with that Decavi, and with that Blitz and
Attackers have
Ying,
located a bomb.
it definitely looks like they're
5
going for
seconds
more of a
remaining.
rush smoke plan, you know, going for that domination, getting that area control
Attackers
before
are heading
ShadowNet
out
can
to
really
defuse the
respond. So I'm actually a little bit surprised to not see maybe perhaps a Warden 6-pick coming out from ShadowNet over in a mute pick just to deny possibly one of those Blitz flashes or even those Line EDD scans.
I think the initial kind of plan was just maybe play for a counter, but it seems that that's not going to be the play already. Another spot and a double kill for Soy, as it seems that she was quite prepared during her roam. Gets a triple as well, and just all of a sudden this whole push has just been thwarted here. Finally, Cass does manage to find some response here, but oh, it does see the helmet of the Jaeger. Maybe could lob a grenade through it, but oh, that's a oopsie.
Yeah, if you want to lob a grenade through a window like that, you definitely have to prep that grenade a little bit longer and definitely make it through the window like that second grenade did. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to connect quite just yet, but it did force Minxie back from that window. Cass, unfortunately, gets down by Minxie just as I was saying she was backing away. No, I guess she isn't. She's going back to that window. And it is just going to be Cheeseburner, the only attacker left alive, to try and clutch up this round.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate to see that the rush attempt by Nutty Gaming has unfortunately failed, and yeah, this is certainly not looking particularly well. Even Cass does admit to it, although maybe there could be some wonder clutch to come around. Cheesebender has already dropped down right onto side and has the at least early control, could potentially go in for the plant, as it seems that actually nobody is on site, and Minxie won't be able to spot the decay right behind the bomb chassis, but Mons does. And well, that's a 6-0 first half.
Yeah, that was a beautiful first half as well. It definitely looked a little bit dicey at the start, but ShadowNet is definitely cleaning their act up. They're going for more coordinated pushes. Soy is definitely doing what she's meant to be doing, which is getting all the kills at the start and making life a lot easier for ShadowNet, which means on the other side, for the opponents, they definitely need to be more careful about how they position.
Yeah, talking about the positioning, actually, Toki does tease a Chunka maybe as a 6-pick, given that it could be one heck of a meme pick, but it seems that Yoshi for now will be... Oh no, we are going to be seeing... Okay, we're going to be seeing both Chunka and Caveiro to actually coming around and to play, whereas on the side of ShadowNet, I'm tempted to say it's a half rush comp.
Defenders, protect your bomb.
But
By attackers.
Yeah, we'll have to see, I suppose.
You know, I feel like whenever I see an Amaru and I see a Thinker picked alongside that Amaru, it really shows a deeper level of trust and communication in the team. Because to have a Thinker being picked if you're the Amaru, it just shows like this whole new level of appreciation, because they're willing to give up an operator choice just so they can adrenaline boost you when you go in. And if that's not love, I don't know what is.
That's a very good point.
10
Yeah.
seconds left before insertion.
Being able to sacrifice some of
5
the
seconds
utility
left.
for your own teammate and just to be just an absolute
Attackers
mad
are
player.
moving out to locate
Certainly
a
is
bomb and defuse it.
a good trait here, but I'm curious to see what will Yoshi be able to do here on Caveira, given that few picks could be done here. And, oh, hello, that's a Jackal. That actually does get down, but Crips is the one to come out victorious and actually gets boosted back up to the 25 HP, as Toki is actually the one that gets the kill here on the drop down, and oh boy, that is a good night to Diana.
A bomb has been located.
No amount of adrenaline surge is going to be safe from a Tachanka turret, so I guess, you know, Dinah let the hard way. That is not the way around it. It is going to be Cass getting that kill onto Crips, and this round all of a sudden looks to be in the favor of Nutty Gaming.
Yeah, this is certainly looking like ShadowNet has slowed down their approach after losing their two fairly big players. Well, at least not yet score-wise, but utility-wise, definitely
Bomb
very
located by
important
attackers.
ones. Soy going to attempt to go for a very interesting pre-fire in hopes of trying to catch one of the defenders off guard on the reinforcement, but thankfully the reinforcement actually does save, I believe that was Cass who was reinforcing, yeah. So at the very least she got saved from there, although Soy is, I feel she's not done yet. Oh! Sees the head of Womai and, well, has her own head taken off pretty quickly.
Yeah, and if things weren't looking in the favor of Nutty Gaming before, this is definitely looking a lot better. ShadowNet is in a very tricky situation. They are in a 2v5 against Nutty, and Toki is still up on that Tachanka turret. So at this point, it's definitely looking to be in the favor, and the little dock heal does come out on Cass, which does mean that all that damage that Soy did into Cass early on is just going to be completely nullified.
And with that said, the two remaining ShadowNet players are looking like they're going to be opting into pushing the Hookah Lounge, where they could phase the crossfire between Novawick and Cass, and if that wasn't enough, there's a Chunker still also ready to frag out, and maybe Cheesebender on a run out could also do quite some damage as well, as it seems that Mons is not particularly too keen on pushing the Hookah, and well, rightfully so. ShadowNet do have quite some time as well to attempt to push, and Macy learns the hard way that maybe peeking the double window where your teammate has died is the best choice.
Yeah, unfortunately that window is going to be a tough repel if you don't have the appropriate intel. In this case, Mon's going for an adrenaline surge. Don't think she is aware of where that Tachanka turret is, because she is going to get down for her troubles, and Cass picking up that final kill onto Mingsu does mean that Nutty Gaming will be picking off their first defender round.
There we go. At the very least, this won't be a 7-0 play just yet, but look, either way, this was a pretty solid defense, and I gotta say, for once, the Chunker pick was actually pretty well warranted.
I think ShadowNet, definitely got a little bit of a kick up their ass in that case, because in any situation, that Tachanka turret should have been quite easy to clear out if you did go for the vertical play down in office. You breach upwards, especially if you have an Ash. You can open up even the hatch, even just to throw in some flash grenades to possibly stun at the Tachanka so that someone can wide swing from that Hookah double door. But in that case, I feel like, maybe ShadowNet were a little bit disrupted by their momentum, especially with their opening fraggers getting picked off in a manner like that. So possibly not the best course of events, which does mean that Nutty is going to be run at 1 round up.
And now, Nutty are going from one odd decision for their comp to another. Now bringing in the Clash as well as continuing to bring the Chanka and the Caveira. Will be also doubling down on just locking down as many positions as possible with the castle. And I'm liking this as theoretically, at this point, Nutty Gaming has actually brought on board
10 seconds
2,
left before insertion.
if not 3 operator picks just to reinforce the
5
chunker.
seconds left.
Because the castle, well, to close off the sideline from the sunrise bar. The dog, well, to heal up the Lord himself. And Cass to serve as the mobile ballistic shield. Not a bad overall turn of events, I reckon.
I am a little bit curious about the placement of that Tachanka turret. You know, you could put it a little bit more tucked away because as it is, it does mean that to secure... Oh, well, they did relocate it as it is, so I will just retract whatever it is I was going to say.
I mean, you did have a pretty good point, yeah. Maybe have it tucked away a little bit closer, maybe towards the wall, where the whole body won't be showing up, even if the door gets opened up. I'll definitely have to agree with you on that. But yeah, thankfully for Toki, she managed to actually move her turret away, and oh, that's the possibility for a peek, a pixel peek to come around actually from the Jackal of Minxie. Meaning that she will be trying to pull off some sus stuff, but nothing too major just yet.
Cass and Yoshi are going to be playing in that top floor. Cass in that penthouse. Yoshi not far behind her at this point. But Minxie manages to get that kill onto Yoshi, which does lessen the effectiveness of Cass, because at this point she is just a walking turret unless she chooses to unshield. Diana is going to be going for a pinch onto Cass. These yellow pings are coming out, which does mean that Shadow Knight is aware of where Nutty is playing specifically. Crip's going for a flank in Hall of Fame as well, which does mean that Cass is in an impossibly tricky position.
Yeah, oh, the pre-fire from Diana will be dropping Cass down to even lower amount of health. And with all the pre-fires, all the pings finally do come out, Crips is the one to finally finish off the defenders. So now in a 3v5 position at a match point, things are certainly looking a little bit questionable here. Funnily enough, Minxie is still yet to, well, come around to really get to play, and actually knows exactly where to go for the peek through that drone hole in a prone position. She should be able to find the feet of the Lord himself, but no, actually, it'll be quite well defended. So now the next avenue is to attempt to go in for the push through the main lobby, and this is where Toki still hasn't yet set up her turret.
Unfortunately, the ceiling right above Toki is getting broken in with the verticality that Soyon Sledge does bring. Diana, in the ensuing chaos, does manage to get a double kill. First onto Toki, second onto Novawick, which does mean that Shadow Knight will be clearing this up to be a flawless round and finish this map of Coastline in a 7-1.
There we go, yeah. Very dominant scoreline once again from ShadowNet to push themselves up on the leaderboard as well. Back into the tiebreaker between themselves, Elevate and Nocturnal. And, well, this is certainly a very interesting situation that currently the top 3 teams have put themselves put in, yeah.
Yeah, you know, Shadow Knight really showed that despite going for a little bit of a cheeky play, you know, going up against operators that they weren't expecting, such as the Tachanka pick, they were still able to really counteract it and play around it and really show that they are the stronger team in this instance.
Yeah. It was honestly quite a pleasure to see both of the teams to really see how both the teams adapted, how some of the playstyles have been adjusted. Obviously, a few of the rounds definitely felt like they should have gone into the hands of Nutty Gaming, but unfortunately, they didn't. Certain things didn't really line up, and, well, at the end, we do get this scoreline. So, I mean, throughout the whole day today, once again, yet another day of pretty dominant scorelines, 2 7-0s and a 7-1 between the 3 matches, and pretty much just keeps the leaderboard in just about a similar, kind of similar positions, I believe.
Yeah, there shouldn't really be any big restructuring in how these teams are ranked in the round robin. Today's matches almost went in the order of how they are ranked currently in this round robin, which does mean, you know, there shouldn't be any reshuffling. As it is, we will be able to take a deeper look into the standings of the round robin.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yep.
I believe those are still being updated, but yeah, at the moment, yeah. Look, we do get the match results just to get everyone refreshed on all of it. So Elevate did take early on a win against Barry's Bees in a 7-0 fashion. Same goes for Nocturnal versus 71st, where unfortunately for 71st, they just couldn't really find a whole lot of wins on the attack, and well, subsequently that pretty much resulted in their unfortunate loss. And then ShadowNet versus Nutty Gaming on Coastline, the game that kind of went for, well, that had a few rounds go into a few very questionable moments. It was definitely quite a roller coaster of emotions at the beginning, but then later on, it was ShadowNet's match all the way.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, I think Nutty definitely pulled off a great performance. They showed, you know, a little bit of fun. They showed a little bit of interesting operator picks that is definitely always going to bring a smile to your face, whether you're a viewer, a caster, or even a player. So, you know, just for that attempt alone, hats off to them.
Definitely. Now, let's have a look at the standings and, well, get ourselves kind of refreshed on how everything looks. So, yeah, Nocturnal, Elevate, and ShadowNet are back to yet another tiebreaker for themselves, whereas for 71st, unfortunately, they will be missing out on their set of points. Barry's Bees, Nutty Gaming, and King's Women are, unfortunately, still going to be sitting at the bottom of the leaderboard, as, well, once again, things didn't really change as much, but, yeah, look, for that matter, it still makes it quite interesting to see how will some of these teams shape up closer to the end of the season, close to the end of the regular season, and once we'll go into the playoffs as well, because those are going to be the big deciders, and probably more so even the kind of the endurance run per se for some of these teams, given that it will be quite a change from the best of 1 to, I believe, a best of 3.
Yeah, most definitely. Always having more maps in the pool or more maps being played, especially if you're going into an overtime match as well, will definitely drain the stamina of their team, especially if your team isn't doing that well. You know, to not only keep up the stamina of playing for that amount of time, but also to keep up your motivation and your momentum so that, you know, sure, we might have lost the first map, but we need to regroup and we need to make it better.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all that there is for tonight. Congratulations to Nocturnal, Elevate, and ShadowNet for getting themselves yet another set of points. Some good, dominant score lines for all those teams. An unfortunate loss for 71st, Barry's Bees, and Nutty Gaming, but I'm sure that they will be able to bounce back and return and get themselves some points. But, ladies and gentlemen, before we close this out, we do have one more announcement. We just were told recently that it is a birthday of one of the Barry's Bees players' heart explodes. So we would like to congratulate her and wish her a happy birthday and all the best wishes.
Yeah, you know, it's not your birthday every single day. In fact, it's only once a year that it happens. So happy birthday to you, Hot Explodes. I hope you had a great day, and I hope that this year will be a better year than the last.
Yeah, all the best wishes, all the best health as well, and best wishes on being able to click more heads in Siege as well. But yeah, that's about it from us as well. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, you wonderful viewers. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us on yet another fantastic day of Women's League. And thank you, Pi, for joining me tonight on the casting desk.
Thank you. Yeah, as it is, we will see you guys next week at the same time. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. And